Go. Awesome. Hello, everyone. We did start with a blah blah. We're just talking about blah blahs. I'm here today with Amy, and we know each other from years ago because of Facebook groups or something, and then we've bumped into each other again. And Amy was commenting on a post of mine where I was talking about having a rubbish day, and I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. But do you want to introduce yourself, Amy, and your business?
Yes. I'm Amy, and my business name is my name, Amy Madden, and I am a counsellor and coach for women who've experienced trauma. And so I am located in the beautiful Bribie Island in Queensland, and it is the most stunning day outside, and I'm beaming into you.
Oh, that's
so thank you for having me.
That's my pleasure. I just remembered to look at the day, and it is beautiful here today, albeit a bit windy.
Absolutely. Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's okay because I'm inside, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it was lovely to have you comment on my post because I'd posted about having woken up just in a funk and felt like my course wasn't going to sell and all these, and I wasn't making any money in my business, and I know that I am. So, you know, when we wake up and we're having those sort of I guess intrusive thoughts that we know at some level aren't true, but then we suddenly start finding evidence to support that. So, and you mentioned that that's our RAS. So I'd love it if you're up for just explaining that, because some people had heard about it. But when I talked to my husband about the RAS, he just thought I was talking woo. And I said, no, it's a scientifically proven thing that if you're allocating your computer, you're going to actually see more evidence to keep that story in place.
Yes. So proper science, I think you called it with your husband. It's proper science.
Actual science.
I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I am aware of I like to call it the RAS, and I can hear you saying RAS or RAS, and I've realized just now while you're talking that I've only ever read it, not listened to it, so I don't know how other people say it, but it's your reticular activation system. Yeah, and so it's a part of your brain, and it is responsible for filtering in and filtering out. So we as humans receive a stupid amount of stimuli every day. You know, our eyes are taking in, I can't remember the numbers, but huge amounts of kind of visual stimuli. Our skin is consistently taking in the temperature and the pressure and the, all of the information. Our ears, all of our senses are collecting information. We cannot process all of that. So my eyes at the moment are probably telling me that my window still has coverings on it, which it had 2 minutes ago, and which it told me, every minute for the last 2 minutes, every time I look at it. So the RAS filters that out. It's like, yes, let us know if there's new window coverings. We're not actually interested that they're the same. So it filters it out. And I just think it's really great because everybody knows that story about, oh, I want to buy this model car. And then suddenly that car is everywhere, right? It's just everywhere. And that's your RAS filtering it in. It's like, oh, she's interested in this model car. Look, there's one. And we'll filter that over the other models of cars or the other color cars or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a key reminder and explanation for me when you said that, because there's a blog about it if you want to suss out Amy's blog. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's a really good, easy, tangible explanation, example. But what was going on for me was someone had actually bought my course and money had actually gone in my bank account, but for whatever reason, I didn't see that email until about noon that day, when all my vibe, I'd sort of sorted out my energy and got myself out of the funk. Then I could see, oh, someone actually bought the course. Someone actually, has paid me this week. And it's just
so that information was there, right? It was sitting there and you just don't see it. It's amazing to me. People with neurodiversity will talk about the same kind of thing in terms of object permanence. So I'm interested. I'm still learning about that. So they'll say, I just literally don't see the mess. I know I've put my things down, and it is messy if you are new to this space and you look at it, but I literally don't see it anymore. It's not rating. So I'm still learning about that because I find it fascinating, but absolutely our brains are at hard work.
It's not all about willpower. That we can use it so negatively. Like, for example, I think my dad had this big belief that he wasn't lovable, and so of course, like, everything that happened in his life was just reaffirming that. And I mean, he never articulated that to me. So that's just me making up stories about him. But I know that we all carry all these stories, and that's what makes up. I mean, and I saw you talk about identity the other day. That's what helps develop our identity, is all this narrative we have about ourselves, which we
Yes.
could be using in a conscious, intentional, positive way. And that obviously will take time to start
Yes.
to feel good. But most of us are doing it in negative ways. Like so many
Yes.
women I work with tell me how they just can't, like they just can't do this thing. They just can't do a video. They just can't do tech. And yeah, we're just keeping
Yeah.
it in place.
It's so tough, isn't it? Because willpower isn't necessarily enough to change the story, the narrative, and then your brain will go and search out. It's like a fabulous little filing system, will go and search out the evidence that supports the story that you've got. And it's like, see, remember this and remember this. And that becomes like when you start sort of trying to have willpower to change that, it gets really tiring. It gets really difficult.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of work with people about, if you can just stay grounded and kind of come back to center and be really here in the moment, you have a better chance of not supporting that negative story. Because, of course, we support the negative story because that's what keeps us alive, right? That's the negativity bias. Yeah. We have to notice threat. We're wired to notice threat. That's and probably we should notice threat, really. Do you know?
Yeah.
But it doesn't do us a service when we're trying to fix something in our tech, you know, and we just buy into this story we've got about, I have a story just like that about my domains. Do you know? Like, I'm like, I just can't do it.
It's not like I'm some kind of pious, like perfect, because I'm definitely subject. I mean, everyone alive, that's how our personality is crafted, is just all layers and layers of, story about ourselves. And I think it's kind of cool and magical that we can just totally change that if we decide we want to.
Yeah. So we can, and it is cool and magical, and our fabulous, clever brains will search out evidence to support us.
And it was interesting. I read I keep wanting to say it's Simon Sinek, but it's not. It's that Atomic Habits book.
Where
he talks about the lag time, and I think it's good to just remember that if we do want to create a new identity, we will start taking actions. Like we were just talking about being business people. It's like, well, what does a business person do? If you're new in business, then you need to start taking the actions a business person does, but you're not going to see the results straight away. There is going to be a lag time, but in 3 months or 6 months, something will have happened in response to all those actions you've been taking aligned with that identity.
That's right. Or you won't even notice until you turn around and look back. Do you know, you'll travel along believing that story about this is who I am and this is how I am and da, da, da. And until you turn around and look back and go, actually, my business books are fine. Do you know, if I look at my profit and loss, or actually my calendar is full, and you won't realize until hindsight when you can see clearly. You're right. So there is absolutely a lag while our story catches up.
Yeah, I mean, I like doing a weekly review because it helps me see, oh, I am doing tasks. That's another thing that comes up for me, is I feel so busy. And I would start telling myself a story like, oh, I'm so busy, but I'm not really doing the important things. I'm not getting anything done. And until I stop and do a weekly review and look and remember, like, my questions are, what was good? What was challenging? What are 3 things I did to progress my big goals? And what are 3 things I'll do next week? And I realized that that is such an easy way to celebrate. People used to talk about celebrating, and I used to get so confused because I don't drink. And they'd say, yeah, I'm going to, they'd have like a wine glass. I'm celebrating. I just thought, celebrating is not something for me because I don't drink.
Because I don't,
so I just realized, well, celebrating is just being, for me, very present moment aware of what I've done, of what's real and true. And that feels really celebratory, more than having to spend money and buy something.
Yes, so much. Yes. Our culture tells us we have to engage in some drug use in order to celebrate. We actually don't. We have lots of biochemicals that will make us feel good if we just make room for them. And do you know what's beautiful about those questions that you have? I love them, by the way. There's some revision and some planning. Is that they bring you into this moment. Let's focus on this right now. And your brain and, well, your nervous system will love that, because in the now is the safest place, right? We have the most control here. the information we have makes sense. It's the safest, most wonderful place to be. And then you apply, look at all of these things I've done. Oh, look at all of these things I'd like to do. And it's nice and concrete and written down. It's so soothing for your nervous system.
It really
and so
is.
you will calm down.
Yeah.
And you won't have kind of that biochemical flight response stuff going on. And it will feel, someone said to me today, peaceful. She said it feels earthy and peaceful. And that's it. You know, if we make that room for that mindful just being here, it will feel as good as a glass of wine. Yeah,
great. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, totally.
I've mine for ages. But I was wondering as well, like you mentioned, when you're working with people and you encourage them to be present and do something grounded, is there any other like tools and tricks that you recommend?
Yeah, so I was just talking to myself today about how I feel like such a broken record. I'm like, you need to ground. Everybody just needs to breathe. And
How do
I'm
we
like,
do that?
are people getting sick of me saying like, I know how to breathe, Amy? Stop
Probably
it.
not.
And there is some research around, you know, sometimes that can actually not work because if we've been traumatized, or, you know, our felt sense of breath can be really difficult. Yeah. So in terms of grounding, what you want to do is do your very best to be in the now. And the way we do that is use our senses. So we get out of remembering and we get out of planning and we just use our senses. So what can you feel? What can you see? What can you hear? What can you taste? Like, just use all of your senses to be here now. And so some people find it really useful to breathe, of course. Yeah. Because breathing is going to do some really good things for your body. But if that doesn't work for you, getting your feet on the floor and kind of pressing into the floor so you can use the resistance. If you are needing to ground because you're feeling fidgety. So there's two. Grounding is a funny thing. So there's grounding when we feel a bit like we're reminiscing and we're getting stuck in that sad story and that bad story and that past story, and we need to kind of be here now. That's when you're going to want to feel a chair, you're going to want to breathe, you're going to want to kind of bring your senses to the present moment and be calm. But if you are distressed, so if you have a story going on around, I'm not going to make it, or this is too hard, and you notice that you are starting to, then you need to move. Your body needs to move. It's telling you it needs to move. Yeah, your heart rate's come up. You're doing these ones. People will jiggle their foot. So you want to get up, move, have a dance break. Do you know? Have a walk. Go. You made a beautiful video with your plants. That was so perfect for me that day. Like, you just need to go and move, let your body do what it wants to do, and that will provide the feel good. You will come back to the moment. Yeah. Perfect. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the question was.
No, they were all really great ideas, because then it reminded me of last night. I was dealing with my son who gets a bit anxious about sleepovers, and he's got kind of a not negotiable one tonight. And he often holds his breath, and I think I used to, and I think that's a big part of anxiety as well, and
totally
dramatizing and freaking yourself out. Is like my partner always used to say to me, breathe. It used to make me so cross, and it makes my son really cross as well. So in the end, I'm not sure exactly what happened. We did something funny and he ended up just laughing, and I thought, he just needed to shake his energy.
He needed to shake it off, right? Yeah. And so there are other things that will make that breath happen. So if you get up and have a dance break, you will breathe. True. Because you will have to. Yeah. And there's this wonderful OT that I follow, the OT Butterfly, I think she's called, and she does fabulous things like, get kids to blow out candles, make a game of lighting and blowing out, blow up a balloon so they can play with it. Find another way to put the breath to work so that you're not telling someone to breathe, you're asking them to do something else that will actually cause that to happen anyway.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. And that, we know this stuff as parents, we know this stuff. It's to some degree, right? It doesn't always come up first, but we do have a sense of it. It's when it comes to ourselves and the legitimacy of that it's, so if you're a grown-up businesswoman and you're feeling that, go blow a candle out. You're allowed.
Yeah. I mean, most of us have a bit of a hug. Yeah. There's candles all around for us, right? With our Swedish obsession. Yeah.
Yes. Candles. Balloons aren't so environmentally great, but you get the point. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I do have the grounding conversation a lot. Do you know the one that I do like for women? I will show you this because I quite like it.
Here we go. We get a demo.
A demo. Great. I was a baby wearer. Were you a baby wearer?
Oh yeah, I love wearing my babies.
I've refused to give up baby wearing, and so I have held on to my wrap. I don't know why. I'm not going to have any more babies.
No,
I'm busy. Okay. If you get your shawl, so this is a wrap, but you can just get, most people have a shawl handy. Do you know it's hanging over the door, or it's, you know, if you just get it and just pop it around your shoulders and tighten it. If you grab it and twist it, this is so simple because most people have access to something, and just tighten it, twist it and tighten it, you will get a hug sensation.
Nice.
Yeah, you will get a hug sensation, and no one's going to know what you're doing. Yeah.
Oh,
no one's going to, unless you're like me and you're wearing a baby wrap, which is a little weird. No one's going to know. I had a scarf here, but I took it away. No one's going to know what you're doing, and it's going to soothe your nervous system a little bit, and it will probably work for both, for when you are a bit escalated and when you're a bit deflated. It's just going to provide that gentle soothing while you collect yourself up and pick a strategy that works.
And that reminds me so much of my kids when they used to be freaking out. I have this big thing I call blue blankie, which is just a shawl, and I'd put them on me and wrap them up in it and really tight, and that would just always chill them out. So magical. Yeah,
because the pressure, right? You activate the sensors in your skin, and it's that pressure that you apply feels a lot like a hug, and we all need hugs. We all need to know that we are safe in our clan, in our cave, and we're not going to get ostracized, you know. And most women know that for kids. Most business women, mums, most will, and dads actually, they will hug children, right? They will say, distressed child, come here and I will hug you, and they will naturally apply that. So if we can find a way to do that for ourselves.
Well, that's the thing. And now I'm realizing so much of it is actually finding that kindness for ourselves and being that parent for ourselves, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And like I say, I feel like a broken record sometimes, and I'm like, you need to breathe and you need to be kind and you need to da-da-da. But it's actually the way to all the things. We are capable of so much when we're calm. It's just making the path to get to the calm that's key.
I love it. Thank you.
So our Raz can go and collect some different information.
Some nice stories.
Yeah, some nice stories. Like, oh, this feels nice. I don't have to worry.
Yeah, well, thank you. And that's a good few new tools for anyone who's looking for them. I'm going to remember those somehow. I'm telling myself.
Don't put that on yourself. It'll come if you need it.
Exactly. I think I'm definitely in a different place than I was a few years ago with, you know, feeling really escalated and prioritizing calm. So I'm feeling good, actually. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
The pleasure.
What an honor. Thank you.
Thanks, gorgeous. And if you want to connect with Amy, I hang out with her on Instagram, and I'm sure you can find her in other places. I'll put some links for her down below.
Yeah, I'll find you.
Thanks, people. See you later.
Yeah.